Hello, we're here with Richard Reyes and we're going to know a little more about his life and particular events that make his architecture career so amazing. First, could you talk to us a little bit about your life?
Hello, first, thanks for the opportunity. And yes, of course, I can tell you a little bit about myself. Well, as you know, I'm Italian. I was born in Florence in 1933. However, I moved to England with my family when I was 5 years old. There, I entered school where I wasn't very good at it at first, but later on, my family discovered that it was because I was dyslexic. And well, something important about my personal life as well is that I was intended to study a major in dentistry. However, I wasn't very good at it. I didn't have all the qualifications, which is why I didn't apply. But I entered the Architectural Association, better known as AA. And there, in my fifth year, I won a prize for a school project, which made me think that I was very good at it. I started to like a lot this sort of life and style. And in 1960, I married my first wife. Her name is Sue Barnwell. And she was very important in my life. I had two sons with her, and also his father was the head of the design research unit who introduced me to this new world. I also have a master's degree in architecture from Yale, and my wife was studying at the time urban planning there. With her, I formed the team four with Foster and with Wendy Cheeseman, and we made several projects. The first one being the Creek Bean in 1967. And well, something that is also important is that I worked with Renzo Piano. You know him, I think. But we separated in 1978 when I created the Richard Rogers partnership, and I inaugurated this new firm with the Lloyd Building in London, and this established me as the first, no, as a major architect in the world.
Well, that was a really interesting career. Thank you very much for your answer. And the next question is well, we want to know about what was the city to you, what it mean.
The cities. Okay, well, for me, the cities are where life is at its most precarious, but also it is where we have the greatest opportunity for change and improvement and intervention. Well, this is very important since today we face a new challenge in which cities face not only the three common variables of life, of human life, which are population, resources, and environment, but also an expanding population, a depletion of resources, and an erosion of the environment.
You are right because we have seen this in the cities since the Industrial Revolution, so it's a really valuable comment. And we have another question for you. We want to know how did you get interested in the cities and how do you start having this chance and opportunity and ideas to start focusing on the city's development.
Well, I don't know. I think it was since the beginning, since I was very little. For my father was an architect and an engineer, so he started to introduce me these sort of new concepts. And also, one of my uncles, one of my father's cousins, which was Ernesto Rogers, was one of Italy's most prominent architects, and he was also an editor of two very important magazines there, which are Casabella and Damas. And I don't know, I think my interest is started from them.
I believe it's really interesting that you have this architectural knowledge in your family and you have the privilege to know these things and to live this world since you were real little. But well, let's go to our next question. That we want to know what books have you written. So please tell us about that.
Well, I love writing books, which is why I have a lot of titles that have been published. However, some of them, and I believe some of the some that my interest you more, are the first one I wrote, which is Architecture: A Modern View. It was published in 1991. And in this book, I talk a little bit about how we live and how we use the resources we have. And also, I make this thesis in which I establish that poor design, monotony, and human scale are the results of a surrender of selfish interest and short-sighted economies, not a result of other things, as many people have pointed out throughout the years, such as a mistake in the modern movement nor anything like that. Also, another book I wrote was in 1997, Cities for a Small Country, in which I talk about beautiful cities as economic powerhouses, centers of invention and creativity and social integration. And some other titles are The Art of Life and Posso per Tutti, which is my autobiography.
Well, you have given us a lot of books in your career, and it's amazing to know all about how you think about all these things about your life. And we also talking about that. We want to know about what is your theory about a city. What is your theory about architecture in the human life?
Well, in terms of a city and in terms of architecture, I believe in the modern movement, which is based on looking at the building as a machine and creating transparent and clear architecture. This because this way you can join both the public and the private spaces, creating a new urban idea. And also, I think that it is very important that you always focus on the user's needs. This also relates to my idea of the city, since I believe that a city has a potential to change social interaction and to influence on it in a positive manner, or well, a negative if not correctly applied. And I believe that creating an architecture should focus always on people, generating a city with public spaces that creates and joins the diversity of the world and the complexity of it. And I think that we should take all of this in consideration for creating a new way of life for the population.
Well, it's a really interesting architectural point because you are focusing the architecture on the people and in the city. And I believe this is something that most of the architects in the world have forgotten and have developed an architecture that is focused on a group or on a people, on how it looks to a place, but always getting apart the how the architecture goes to the people and goes to the city, and that's really interesting about what are you telling to us. And also the last question, we want to know what are the achievements, what are the goals, what are the most important projects you have accomplished in your life, and I don't know, what can you tell us about that?
Well, as you know, I've been working in architecture for a long time now, which is why I've been fortunate enough to win some prizes and recognitions. However, the ones that mean the most to me, or that I believe that are the most important for the architectural community, are the Pritzker Prize, obviously, in 2007, which is laureate I won due to several projects of my career, such as the Pompidou Center in Paris, and also the Millennium Dome in London, or the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. And well, something important that I believe is worth mentioning as well is the Zipop House, which is a new concept I introduced in 1967. I started this due to a project in a contest. However, it only came true as my father's house, and its main idea is to build a factory-built house, which is quick to assemble and rapid in construction at a low price.
Well, thank you very much for this amazing interview, and I believe we have learned a lot of your career, about your life, about what Richard Rogers idea and mind of architecture is. And thank you very much for this interview. I don't know if you want something more to tell us. And well, for us is that is all. And thank you very much for being here.
No, thank you, and thank you for this amazing opportunity to share my thoughts with you. I hope it was what you were looking for and what you were expecting. And if you know that if you have any questions, you can always ask me, and I'm available for you.